I'm going to go over a procedure for extracting broken needle valves from the Zenith 40 TIN carburetors from the Porsche 911. I guess this is probably one of the weakest points of these carburetors, is that these needle valves, it's got 3 of them here, and they are kind of prone to breaking if you're not absolutely careful with them. And I've actually received some shipped to me where they were broken due to getting sort of tossed around in the packaging. So, and they are very frustrating to get out, and they can be, and sometimes you'll see whole throttle bodies discarded because they have these things broken off in them. So I found a procedure for removing them, which I just wanted to share. So this is a drawing which is sort of a close-up of the needle valve right here as it's complete, and it's at this point where they normally, seems like they always break right there if they're going to break. And so you're left with something like this stuck in the carburetor down a hole, which is just very, very hard to get access to. I've had success with 2 methods. The first is sort of the easy way. If they're stuck in there but they're not too stuck, then what you can do is simply take your the piece that broke out, while this piece is still in there, and you can put a dab of epoxy on it, just a small amount, because you don't want to get this glued even further in there. And basically what you'll do then is you'll rejoin the 2 pieces together with a dab of epoxy there, let it cure, and then wait, you know, maybe however long it takes, maybe even overnight, and then you can try to drive it out. Now sometimes I've been able to get it out just fine, sometimes I've had to re-epoxy it, try it again, and then it works. The second method is I wanted to show, and it seems like a little more foolproof, or, well, just more the reliable way of getting it out. Although it's more work, and this way is more or less having to do with the situation where you're sort of hopelessly stuck in there, where you've tried this method of gluing this on and backing it out, and it doesn't work, and you're basically ready to throw the thing away. So this is just a rundown of what is required for this method. Basically, you'll need a good set of drill bits. I'm using the Craftsman titanium coating, basically some good quality drill bits, and then basically some super glue. This is some sort of gap filling super glue from hobby shop days. And then this one here is a carbide tip for the Dremel tool, and not exactly sure of the size, but it fits well. We'll show that in just a moment. But basically those are the 3 items that are needed. So what we're going to do then, we're going to use just 2 drill bits. We're going to use a 1364 and a 764. So with the larger bit, what we're going to do, we're basically going to stick that in there, you know, while the needle valve is still stuck in there. And if you notice, it fits nice and snug in there. And what you're going to do is you're going to basically drill, and what you're trying to do is just create a small indentation in this. You're not trying to drive this all the way, but what you're trying to do is make a small indentation there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to come back with the second bit, the 764 bit, and you're going to go farther. You just use the first bit to create a point so that this one can basically go in nicely and basically go in about so far. And then the third bit about what you'll do after you've made that is you will take your Dremel bit and you will apply a small amount of glue onto the tip of it, and then you will basically stick it in that hole that you've made, and you'll tap it with a nice little tap from a hammer or something, not too hard but enough to get it in there, and you'll be able to feel it that it's stuck in there pretty good. Let it dry for at least 10 minutes or whatever the glue requires, and then basically what you're going to do then is you're going to take your drill and put the Dremel bit onto that drill, and then put it in reverse, and then just full speed back it out. You're not going to want to do it slowly. You're going to just back it out, and that thrust will pull that thing out. At least we hope. Now there's if that doesn't work for you, and then I would say then the next step would be to basically weld this in with some JB weld and really let it sit overnight, and then do the same thing again. But this bit seems to have some good friction ability on it to hold it in there, and with the glue it really helps it also, and it just backs it right out. I've had one that I was messing with for days and came up with this way of doing it by trial and error, and it got it out. So the reason we're using this large bit to start with is because we're using this guide, and it fits pretty good in that guide. And we're using this hole here as a guide to basically drill into the remains of the needle valve that's in there. And of course the needle valve is very hard steel, and so it's important to have that guide so that you more or less get it centered, this hole that you're going to make, the smaller hole. And so then you end up with something like this in the end, where we're basically left with a needle valve that has a hole in it, and the Dremel bit fits really good in there. It is able to basically back it out.